UK ambassador to Israel, Tzipi Hotovely, has been quiet over the last few months, not doing many interviews. Rightly so, because she's awful, she doesn't answer questions, and she is kind of a horrible person. So let's get into the Piers Morgan interview with Tzipi.
Can all this go on? Well, I'm joined by Israeli ambassador to the UK, Tzipi Hotovely. Ambassador, welcome back to Uncensored.
Good evening, Piers.
Incredibly damning comments from two former prime ministers of Israel and a former deputy chief of staff of the Israeli army. When you hear what they have to say, surely it gives you pause for thought, doesn't it?
Well, it's quite obvious for someone like you that understands politics that those people are coming from the opposition. Their job, in their opinion, is to fight whatever the government is doing. I think it's very anti-patriotic not to support Israel's war when we are fighting the most justified war in the world against a terror group that committed the worst atrocities at the 7th of October. Just today,
How is it anti-patriotic to question your own government and how they act when they're doing war crimes, genocide, ethnic cleansing, starving people, killing children, sniping children in the head? No. Patriotism is actually questioning your own history, putting a lens to it and going, actually, why are we doing this? It's not patriotic just to blindly follow what your country's doing. That's just not a very good start.
remember 600 days that we still have 58 hostages in captivity. And I'm afraid to say, nowadays in Israel, you can't find even one leader that will say he's willing to live with Hamas on its doorstep. So if those people have any criticism, they should offer a plan how Hamas will be removed from the Gaza Strip, from controlling the doorstep of Israel, not committing the 7th of October again. I didn't get to hear that, not from European leaders that are criticizing Israel, and not from those opposition former leaders. So I must say that in the end of the day, Israel has a serious threat on its security. You will agree with that. No one wants to see people being massacred in their homes like we've seen at the 7th of October. And in order to do that, the aims of the war are still relevant. We want to bring back our hostages, and we want to make sure Hamas won't control the Gaza Strip. Every leader in the world, in the Western world, agrees on those two aims.
Yes, but you're not going to do that by slaughtering children and tens of thousands of innocent people. You're only going to radicalize people further. We saw it in the war of Iraq. This doesn't work. We need to take the occupation away from Gaza, the checkpoints. That's what really needs to happen. There needs to be an international intervention on Netanyahu, and we need to kind of end this for all. We need some agreement. But Israel doesn't want that. Netanyahu wants to sustain this war because he'll be in jail. There needs to be UK, well, the UK needs to be a part of it. America needs to do something. But is that going to happen?
Yeah, you and I have spoken regularly, or on a number of occasions throughout this war. I've always said from the start, as you know, that Israel had an absolute right and indeed duty to its people to defend itself after those appalling attacks. And my position about that hasn't changed. But I also kept asking one question, which was, what is a proportionate response? And I've got to tell you that in the last few weeks, I have found the Israeli government strategy in Gaza to be utterly disproportionate. And I'll explain to you why. When you
Just the last few weeks.
You launch a blockade for nearly 3 months to a population which already has seen much of their possessions, their land, their buildings, their homes decimated by bombardment after bombardment. When you say that you're going to launch a blockade on aid and food to a population where 50% are under 18, you are pursuing, it seems to me, as Ehud Olmert said, a policy of starvation towards, obviously, because of the nature of the population in Gaza, of a lot of children. And that is a war crime. I mean, what else do you call it?
I think when you look at the facts, and you should look at the facts, letting in 25,000 trucks with tons of aid, this is not a policy of starvation. Now, let me tell you what was Israel's policy from the beginning of the war. From the beginning of the war, we created a very clear distinction between the terrorists. We're talking about 50,000 people that embedded themselves in population, as you know. Just now, you just mentioned Mohammed Sinwar.
Well, how have you killed so many innocent? You keep saying this, the same talking points, the same point. Like, how have you killed so many innocent people? Like, we don't even know the fact that she won't be able to answer that question just shows you how they value the life of the Palestinians. They don't. Like,
he was found under a hospital, under the European hospital. He was hiding there because he knows exactly how the world reacts when Israel attacks hospitals. But those hospitals being abused and being used as a terror facilities. This is why Israel is allowed to operate there. Now, I'm going back to the policy of aid. In the last few days, as you know, Israel is launching a new program, a new mechanism to deliver aid because, unfortunately, and I'm saying that with a big pain, Hamas was
really? I don't think anyone believes that, Tzipi.
looting the aid that all the world wanted to be let into Gaza. Now, everyone is interested that the population won't be starving. We don't want to see pictures of children that don't have something to eat. We all share the same interest. But at the same time, if Hamas is looting the aid, then we are empowering the war machine. And according to the international law, no country in the world has obligation to feed the war machine of the enemy. And this is what happened in the last few months. This is why Israel had to change the mechanism. This is why American companies are involved. So we'll have a buffer. We won't have to see Israeli soldiers combating Hamas while they're trying to loot the aid. The whole procedure is much more effective. And just in the last few days, we saw Hamas putting barriers for the population not to receive this aid. This is the same Hamas that uses his own people as human shields. So we are talking about a situation that's very difficult, very complicated. Once Israel is fighting the Hamas terrorists, we still want aid to get in. And the mechanism, I believe, that Israel is putting now forward is so much better than the one that in the end of the day is empowering Hamas.
The problem is that whilst you're saying all this and trying to justify it, you've got people like Smodrich coming out and making it absolutely crystal clear what the real plan is, which is to completely clean out Gaza of all the Palestinians and get them into, quotes, a third country. That is a form of genocide. It is the deliberate targeting of people based on ethnicity and displacing them from their homes and killing a lot of them in the process. I don't know what else you would call it. I've resisted using the word genocide about this. But when I watched what Mr. Smodrich was saying and studied the exact words that he said, it is very hard to reach any other conclusion than that he is waging a strategy of genocide and would like to cleanse, as he put it, the whole Gaza Strip of all the Palestinians. So you can try and dress up that blockade, which is what it was for 3 months, where we saw the starving children you say you're concerned about, but you've got Smodrich there actually laying bare the real plan, which is to get all the Palestinians out of Gaza. And that is a form of genocide, isn't it? What else do you call it?
Obviously, she's not going to answer this question because she can't.
Well, let's begin with the fact that if you listen to the British media, you get the assumption that Smotrich is the Israeli prime minister. Well, he's not. He's not the one who's forming the policy on aid. And the policy you just quoted...
That's irrelevant. The intention is clear. Like, people have a deep hatred towards the Palestinians. I mean, the policy, whether he exercises the policy or not, is irrelevant. What's happening on the ground is relevant. And we're seeing a genocide. We've seen the levelling of much of Gaza, the killing of tens of thousands of people. Like, in any other situation, it would be called a genocide. But somehow, Israel, no.
So is he a liar?
No, all I'm saying is that his policy, his
either he's lying or he's telling
not,
the truth.
His statements are not standing in one line with Israel's policy. This is as a matter of fact. Now, going back to what you quoted basically President Trump's plan. And President Trump's plan is speaking about making Gaza a better place. Gaza will be a better place without having a terror hub, without having the underground tunnel city, without having people firing on Israeli cities. Just in the last 2 weeks, there were more rockets being fired from Gaza to Ashkelon, to some Israeli southern cities. We are not interested with any of that. And I just want to remind you, just in case you're so interested with...
So you just get to bomb Gaza. I mean, you call it a war euphemistically. It's a genocide. So you control what happens in Gaza. Why? I mean, Hamas are a result, a product of a colonial project, a radicalized force that began in 1987 as a peaceful group who wanted non-violent, democratic. And now what have they become? Like, we have to look at the material conditions of why this is happening. Because it's very easy to say, oh, it's Hamas, Hamas, Hamas. Like, who has the power here? Israel does. They have the arms. They have the power differential. And she just is so dishonest.
Finishing the war. The war can finish today. If Hamas will surrender, if Hamas will make sure that no weapons in Gaza, if we'll see demilitarization of the Gaza Strip, and if our hostages are back home, the war will be ending today. I mean, just imagine that.
All right, but let me ask you though. But you accept that Israel has the strongest military in the Middle East, right? I am the proud owner of 2 cats.
Population that's been hit by a terror organization. We're a small country. We're a small country that its border being invaded.
Fine. I just asked you a question as to whether you have the strong...
No, you are occupying Gaza and the West Bank. I mean, it's always projection with these people. It's always projection with fascists. That's all they know how to do, is project their actions, their ideologies onto others.
Strongest military in the Middle East. You accept you do?
We do, but at the same time, we're a very vulnerable country when we are surrounded by radical Islamists, including backed up by Iran.
I'm not here to defend radical
that wants to destroy Israel.
I'm not here to defend that. I'm not here to defend Hamas, who I think a despicable terror organization. But you said there were 50,000 Hamas. Others have put the total figure at around 25,000, which begs the question, if after 18, 19 months now, you have been waging this ferocious war against 25, 26,000 terrorists, and you still haven't defeated them, you still can't get your hostages released, they're still not being released, it's clear to most people that your strategy is failing. But
massively so. Hamas is quite a small militia of they've got bottle rockets, they've got quite primitive military armaments. And then Israel has Iron Dome, AI technology, some of the most sophisticated technology from America. It's insane. And it's like what happened in Afghanistan and Iraq. They just couldn't deal with the terrain and the opposition.
what you're doing is ramping up the attacks, ramping up the devastation, ramping up the clearing out of Gaza. You've got members of the cabinet openly saying they want to get rid of all the Palestinians and get them into another country. So it seems to everybody else that what you're actually doing is not winning any war against Hamas. In fact, many people think, including intelligence that the Americans have received, for every Hamas terrorist you've killed, they've already been replaced multiple times with people with the same ideology. And that would explain why you can't get the hostages out. And in fact, the hostages, the more you bombard Gaza, the more you would say that their own lives become imperiled. And the overriding picture, which is what's getting Israel so much opprobrium around the world, is that your strategy isn't working. There's no clear plan for what happens at the end of all this. Hamas is still clearly alive and well and thriving. Yes, you've killed another one of their leaders today, but you killed his brother, who was the architect of October the 7th, months ago, and that didn't seem to make any difference to Hamas's ability to continue engaging in battle with you. And the argument remains, how many Palestinian civilian innocent lives, women and in particular children, are you prepared to kill as you continue going after Hamas when it doesn't appear that you're winning that battle, that strategy is failing?
Pierce, how many Japanese children were killed under American attacks, and how many German children?
Oh my God, that's all they have. That's insane. That's always the same talking points. Hamas, Hamas, and then, well, when other people do a genocide, it's fine. Why can't we? It's like, it's insane. Like, we will look back in this decades and go, how did we let this happen? Like, what were we doing? What were America doing? What was Biden doing? What was Trump doing?
Were killed under UK attacks in the Second World War. Listen,
Don't play
I mean,
whataboutery.
if you want to play
Focus on my-
if you want to
focus on
play
my
a fair
question.
game, you need to
Yeah.
understand
How is whataboutism a fair game? That's literally a logical fallacy.
how Western armies operated in the past. Israel is not anywhere near to the American attacks on Tokyo that killed 100,000 civilians, and not.
Really? We don't know that, though. Let the UN investigate and see how many people have been killed. But you won't do that, though, will you?
Not anywhere near to what the UK was during the Second World War. Now, when I'm looking at
You have a weak position when that is what you're kind of going back on. Like, well, we didn't kill as many people as the UK did in World War II. Okay. Evidence, please. Citation.
about a strategy, I get to hear all the people criticize Israel today, including yourself. And
Yes, we have the right to do that. Like they always say, like, oh, we're the only democracy in the Middle East. Okay, well, I don't believe that, but okay, whatever. Just let us do what we're doing. Why do you have to criticize us?
And then I'm asking you this question. If Israel finishes the war today and Hamas stays on our doorstep, what kind of future do you promise my children? A future that 7th of October will happen again and again?
See, it's just an emotive argument, not like a historical one, not a legal argument, not a human rights argument. She has nothing. It's insane.
Just like Hamas leaders promised, this is what you expect the Israelis
I
or the
do not
Israeli
think
leadership to accept?
Hamas should not be allowed to run a Welk stall at the end of all this. They should have.
So how do you achieve that? How do you achieve that?
Well, you don't-
Who's
you clearly-
volunteering there?
Not by murdering tens of thousands of innocent women, children, and men. That's the first thing you don't do, a genocide. And then from there, you move forward and kind of maybe adhere to the law, international law, maybe. Just an idea. Just throwing it out there.
To demilitarize the Gaza Strip.
With respect, Ambassador, you clearly don't achieve it with the way that you're trying to achieve it. All you're achieving at the moment is making Israel more and more of a global pariah. When only a few days ago, you have 2 doctors in Gaza who have 10 children and 9 of them are killed in a bombardment by your forces. That doesn't make people feel, oh, this is all going great. It makes people think that you're waging a systematic destruction, not just of property and of land, but also of children. And that's what's happening. The percentage of children that you're killing compared to the percentage of you're killing of Hamas terrorists, what is it? Do you know? Do you know how many children you've killed? Well, hang on.
So you won't be able to answer that question, but we'll see what she conjures up.
Answer me that one question. Do you know how many Hamas terrorists you've killed and how many children you've killed? Do you know those 2 numbers?
I know the numbers that came from the IDF. I know the numbers that came from a very, very established
Give me the two numbers.
Wait a second. We killed 30,000. We killed 30,000 terrorists in phase 1 of the war.
Really? 30,000. Okay. Again, I don't believe these numbers. Like, these numbers have been plucked out the air. But okay, let's continue.
The war is back. I don't have the numbers. But let me tell you one thing.
How many children have you killed?
We never target civilians. So
I'm sorry, the evidence, reality goes against your narrative. Like, who believes any of... I just don't believe anything she says.
This question is irrelevant.
How many children have you...
Oh, wow. Actually, no, it's the only question as far as I'm concerned. How many... Yeah, like, relevant. No. Like, what harm is Israel causing? Like, yes, you have a right to respond to Hamas, but you don't have a right to slaughter children and then go, oh no, that's irrelevant. Like, it doesn't. We can do what we want. Because that's literally what she's saying there. She's saying, like, no, I don't care about these children. Like, and in a way, like, she's quite honest in this. She obviously does not care about this. And people can see that. This is why she's despised, because she clearly does not get. It's irrelevant.
Children have been killed.
Pierce, Israel is not
Oh, how
killing
many?
children. Israel is not killing children.
Really?
Hamas is using them
Israel
as
is
human
killing
shields.
children.
No. Even if that is the case, and there may be situations where that, you have a responsibility to go around those children. You have a legal responsibility. If there are embedded, which inherently is going to happen because it's such a small area, you have a responsibility to target Hamas and not kill children. You don't just get to just kill children and then say, no, it's irrelevant. Numbers are relevant.
Children every single day.
Pierce,
Why
this
pretend
is a
otherwise?
blood label you're putting on Israel.
Why
You know it's
pretend-
not true.
What? No.
What? No, it's not. Oh my God. Just the fascism. Just turn to victim. Like, children's lives are irrelevant when they're Palestinians. Sick. It's a sickness.
No, it's not actually. And what you're trying to do is be very weaselly with your words.
No, I'm not.
The truth is, you are killing a lot of children. You would argue you're
doing. You know why it's caused?
Hang on, let me
Because
finish.
Hamas is using them as
Let me
human
finish.
shields, and you know
Let me
that.
finish my question to you. You are killing a lot of children on a daily basis. That is indisputable. My interesting question for you is, how come you know exactly how many Hamas terrorists you've killed, but you have no idea how many children you've
Doesn't
killed?
care.
Pierce, I will give you the answer, because when you are accusing a country of killing children, it sounds to all the people that are listening to us as if Israel wakes up in the morning and says, "Oh, let's kill let's kill innocent people now."
Oh, that's projection, that is. No one's saying that. But that is what you do. And that's such a defensive position. Like, oh, we wake up. No, you do. You literally do that. It's insane just how sick these people are.
This is not what Israel is doing. Israel
But
is
you are killing a lot of children. And my
No.
question is,
If it wasn't what you were doing, why would you have to say that? Why would you have to say that? We're not getting up in the morning, having our breakfast, and then fantasizing about shooting Palestinian children in the head. But we do nonetheless do that.
how come you
Pierce,
know how
can
many
I ask you
terrorists you've
something?
killed?
Are you familiar with
Well,
the
answer my
international
question.
law? Are
Answer
you
my
familiar
question.
with that at all?
Wow, are you? Are you?
Because
Answer my question.
the international humanitarian law says very clearly, as long as you're targeting civilian targets, you're allowed to attack
So answer
hospitals
my
if you know they're
question.
terrorists. No, but
Answer
you're
my
not answering
question.
Freudian slip there. As long as you're attacking civilian targets, you're allowed to attack hospitals. See, it just comes out. It's like the Freudian unconscious. It just comes out. She just can't help it. She can't just help being honest. She's not even a good liar.
My question,
No,
Israel
but
is
it's
not
my job to ask
deliberately
you questions.
killing children.
You
And
just said you were. The unconscious never lies, as Freud once said. It will seep out in your pores, and it is seeping out in her pores today.
this accusation is a fake thing that you keep on saying again.
Fascists always say this, like, fake news, fake news. No, we have evidence. There's UN reports, Amnesty International. Like, come on, love. You're not fooling anybody.
And again, when you know we're a democratic country, cares about
I
human
just
rights.
Oh, we need the bingo card. Hamas, human shield, democratic country. We can't do no wrong. Child death is irrelevant. It's insane. Like,
ask you a simple
And
question.
at the same
Answer my
time,
question.
Hamas
You
is
can keep
deliberately
talking,
using the
or you
children
can
as human
answer my
shields.
question.
And you
Yes,
know that.
I don't deny anything you say about Hamas. They're everything you say they are, probably worse. I despise Hamas. They are a despicable terror.
but we're not talking about Hamas. We're talking about Israel here. But she can't talk about Israel because then you have to examine what they're doing. And what they're doing is objectively, by experts, journalists, lawyers, is a genocide. Unequivocally. People can deny it, but there's good evidence to suggest that's the case.
terrorist
So
organization.
help us win this war if you're so
No,
despising Hamas.
you do
You're
not-
offering
you-
to surrender. You're not offering to
No,
win.
I'm asking you.
No. See, again, see it black and white, like you either surrender to Hamas or you genocide them. That's the fascist binary of what's happening. It's like, no, there is other options. Adhere to international law, withdraw from the West Bank, take your outposts, checkpoints from Gaza, and come to some kind of deal. Because the bloodshed isn't going to end.
Okay, I'm asking you this question for a purpose. I'm curious why you say you know exactly how many Hamas terrorists have been killed, but you have no idea how many children have been killed. Why is it you know one number but not the other?
I'll give you the answer. Because
Well, she's already answered that. It's irrelevant to her. The number of children that have been killed is irrelevant. They don't care. They wouldn't be killing children otherwise. It's obvious in their actions. Don't believe what people say. Believe what they do.
in the end of the day, we never target civilians. We only target the terrorists.
Why don't you know the statistics?
And you can
say that, but we don't believe you, love.
ask this question.
Are you saying no children have been killed in Gaza?
I didn't say that.
Are you saying that?
I didn't say that.
What are you saying?
I said.
Well, what are you saying?
Pierce, what I'm saying is Hamas
How
needs
many
to
have
be
been
blamed.
killed?
Hamas needs to be
How many
blamed
have
for
been
any
killed?
child that is being killed in
Why? What about the person who killed the children?
Gaza. Now, if you want to go into this propaganda of Israel is doing this and that,
How is it propaganda? It's facts. Like, Israel killing children, even though I said it was irrelevant, so it's irrelevant, but it's propaganda when you actually outline what we did and give evidence. It's propaganda. Like, we can't do any harm. We're just innocent here. We're the victims.
Propaganda. I'm asking you why you know how many terrorists you've killed, but you don't know how many children you've killed in the process.
I have
why
an
don't
answer
you know
because
that?
we targeted those terrorists and we never targeted any civilians. That's the answer. And this is
No, that's propaganda. That's lies. That's bespoke reality, if you will.
why
You know that
we
you know
have the
many
numbers.
thousands of civilians, but you know many thousands of civilians have been killed. You understand
Pierce,
that? Do you?
do you understand that you don't care about my children
Don't
and
keep
other
asking
Israeli
me
That's all she has. When did he say that? What did he say? Like, so to her, you won't let me kill children, which is irrelevant to her. That means you don't care about my children. So I have to kill other children to save my children. Just insane.
children by letting 7th of October happen again and again.
Oh, I do. In fact, to my detriment, actually, in the Middle East for many, many months, when I was defending Israel's right to defend itself. But now we're at a point where more and more civilians are getting killed in collateral damage as you wage a war and a strategy and a plan which makes no sense to even your own former prime ministers who think you're committing war crimes. So don't just couch all this as propaganda by people who just... Well, okay, but again, I simply ask you one more time. Why is it you know how many Hamas terrorists you've killed, but you don't know how many children you've killed? Why is that?
As I said again, because in the end of the day, when you're accusing someone in killing,
you don't count one, but you count the other?
accuse someone in doing something deliberately while Israel is not doing it deliberately. Can I accuse the UK of killing German children during the war? You would have said it's absurd.
Stop playing whataboutery.
It's absurd.
That's all she has, though.
Explain why you know why.
And you can accuse, they did. Like Dresden, yeah, people have criticised that. Like, oh my God, just so fragile.
One number, but you don't know the other.
And we're going to end there. She's horrible, can't answer a question. Child death is irrelevant. Truth is propaganda. This is fascism. This is fascism. And that's why fascists defend Israel, Putin, the Philippines, Kenya, America, some people in the UK. Not many people, but they do. So hopefully this is the beginning of a sea change. I want policy, but I'm pretty pessimistic that things are going to change. I think, again, Israel are going to get away with it. I truly think they're going to get away with this. Netanyahu won't be held to account. I want to be wrong, but I guess we'll see. I'll see you in the next video.